Welcome to I Love My HBCU ? The podcast where we express our undeniable love for HBCUs, but where we are also not afraid to address a few tough questions. So, sit back, learn a little, love a lot, and rep your HBCU. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of I Love My HBCU ? I don't know how to introduce him. If you see his background, you probably can guess where he works or what he's a fanatic about. But I have Immanuel Howell-Bey. He is a Coppin State University alum. Hi, Immanuel. How are you?
I'm blessed. How are you this morning? Well, this afternoon for you.
Afternoon for me, morning for you. You are in
Yes.
Portland, Oregon.
Yes.
Why are you in Portland, Oregon, Immanuel?
So I've been in Portland for a year. I got an amazing opportunity that I've been blessed with at Nike. So I was in Chicago for 10 years, and when Nike gave a call, I said, no matter where the location is, I got to go and pick up everything and move. So Portland, here I am.
So how I know I've made it about Portland, but it's really about Nike.
Yeah.
I asked before we started, and the answer was too many, but I want you to give a rough, you know where this is going. And he's looking around. He's trying to do a quick count. He's trying to do a quick count. Anyone that is only listening to us and not watching, you're missing this amazing background that Manny has of, Lord have mercy, I'm just going to say a gazillion Nike trainers, but take a rough guess. How many do you own?
A little over 100.
A little over 100.
Yeah. Which by Nike standards is not that much.
It's not that much.
This is like a baby collection compared to some people.
I hope this is not a dumb question. So I am partial to Adidas personally. I love trainers, but I'm partial to Adidas. Now, since you're a Nike executive, is it one of those things whereby you better not be caught in any other trainers?
Yeah, 100%.
Really?
Especially around town. Like Portland's a small community, so a lot of people, of course, work for Nike, so they know. You'll know if you see a coworker out and they're kind of wearing the other competition. But yeah, definitely Nike all day. Even on vacation, even when I'm outside of Portland.
It's all Nike all day, all the time.
It's all Nike all day.
What's your favorite part of working for Nike?
Man, that's a great question. I think it's the company itself. Nike is, a community of a lot of just amazing, intelligent people. Has of course, rich history in sport, but, it also has just a rich history in just storytelling and culture building in general. So I think with Nike, my favorite part is being allowed to influence culture, just through my work in general.
You are specifically the North America Digital Brand Manager. What does that? It's a long title. Whenever I hear my title, I say the exact same thing. That's a long title. It's so long.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you said that. So tell, especially for students listening. Whenever I speak to alumni, it's really exciting for me because I want to connect back to students being able to connect to what things mean. Yeah. So what does that really mean? What do you do?
So I work in marketing. Of course, the marketing is, very has a ton of different disciplines. So for me in my role, I'm in charge of doing storytelling and driving community, individuals, consumers back to Nike's ecosystem. So that's driving them back to like Nike.com, Nike app. And I do that through like a wide variety of different ways, social, digital strategy, and just campaign overall. But my role is strictly 100% digital and driving conversation and consumers back to Nike ecosystem.
Nike is a brand. It is, for some people, the brand.
Yeah.
You hear Nike and this is a true story. So I am Nigerian. And my culture is Yoruba. And just the spelling, Nike. When I was younger, I used to say Nike, not Nike, because it is a Yoruba name. I can't tell you what it means, so that's embarrassing. But that's what I would always think of. And then when I got a little older and I realized there was a shoe brand, initially that's a shoe I would love, and I loved because I connected it to that. So I say all of that to say that be it the name, be it the famous swoosh, it is the brand for some people.
Yeah.
A lot of my marketing students at my university, where I have my 9 to 5, if you will, when they think of themselves as marketing majors now, they are thinking of the dream job working at the brand.
Yeah.
And you don't just get there the second you graduate, right? Do you mind sharing or giving a little bit of advice that you think, if you were in their shoes now, it would have helped you towards working towards your dream? Does that question make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be really honest. I feel like, when I was an undergrad student, I didn't major in marketing. I had my degree in psychology, so I was really going to go a totally different route coming out of undergrad. And I was working at Johns Hopkins. I was thinking about, hey, I'm gonna get my master's. I'm gonna think about PhD route. So I was on a totally different path. But like I've always had like a really strong creative side, and I had like all this creativity that I just wanted to figure out a way to express. And honestly, like psychology is just not really like, kind of built and designed for that. So, I really wanted to figure out like, how can I take some things I learned, from psychology, some things that I did outside of school, and, kind of build a career in marketing. And I didn't have a blueprint, I didn't know what to do. And the best advice I can give students is create a plan, create a vision for yourself, and figure out the steps it needs to take, to get there. Like Nike wasn't 100% where I thought I would be. But I did have a list of companies and positions that I wanted to have for the future, and I needed to figure out how can I get there. So for me, it was like creating a plan of like, hey, what are the steps I need to take? Go back to school, get my master's, get my MBA, figure out what companies I need to kind of work for, what internships do I need to take to get there, what positions do I need to have next. And it was just like checking a box slowly but surely to try to get my way to where I am right now. And I'll be honest, it's been a blessing to kind of be here, but 100% having vision, having goals, and also having a plan and milestones to keep yourself in check.
Manny, you saw me smiling a lot as you were talking, right? And the smile is born out of knowing that if and I hope you visit different universities, but especially HBCUs and hopefully your alma mater, Coppin,
Yes.
to speak to the students. The smile was born out of a lot of my students feel I'm going to do this and this is what I'm going to do. And if this doesn't work out, I've either failed or what has happened. And I'm listening to you. This is somebody who, I did not know you were a psychology major. This marketing was not the intended destination at the time. It was okay for you to go back to school to get the training needed. It was okay for you to check boxes in spaces that were not originally on your list. And I find that a lot of our students don't necessarily like the idea of pivoting as much as they need to in order to get to where they want to be. And I don't know what that is. And we may need to tap into the psychology major that you were at some point to try to figure that out. But everything I heard you say was create a plan, have a vision, and be okay pivoting. Like I just kept on hearing be okay pivoting. So I hope those listening, I hope our students are getting that it is okay to pivot even if this is not the original plan that you had. When last were you at Coppin State University?
Man, right before the pandemic, actually. That was my last homecoming that I attended. So yeah, I will visit back to Coppin. I always visit back to Baltimore in general, but definitely back to the alma mater. But yeah, 2020 homecoming was my
Was your
last.
last. You
Yeah.
should come back. I think you would be proud to see
Oh,
what's been going
100%.
on.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've been keeping up with what's going on, but you'd be even more proud to see it in person. So let us know when you come back because we'd love to say hello in person, okay?
Yes. Well, I'll be back in Baltimore in November, and I'll be at our homecomings in the spring. So I'll be at homecoming in February.
We will see you in the spring. How about that?
Yes. Yes.
Manny, I'm going to take you through. I don't know if you've seen any of our episodes yet. I hope so. So if
Yes,
you
I
have,
have.
you
I
should know
have.
what's
I have.
coming. Lovely. So I'm going to bless you with a rapid fire segment.
Uh-oh.
67 seconds on the clock. I'm going to ask you as many questions as possible. And hey, I look forward to hearing your answers. You ready?
Okay. Let's do it.
Let's do this. Okay. Immanuel, describe your HBCU experience in one word.
One word. Wow.
One word.
Transformative.
That's new for us. Transformative. I love it. Shout out your favorite professor or person or administrator at Coppin State University.
This person is kind of slash friend / administrator. Arnika Nichols. Shout out to you. Always had my back from day one, from school to personal to everything. That's a big sister right there. Appreciate everything she did for me.
Nichols, you are amazing. Thank you. Manny, if your time in college was a song, what song would it be?
Man, I have I'm stumped. I have no idea.
You have no idea?
Man, what song would it be? I have no idea. It was, oh man, something by Kanye West, I'm sure, but I can't think of what song. I'm stumped.
It would be a Kanye West. We'll just say it will be a Kanye West song.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If you remember, what was your best meal in college?
Probably something off campus. Worldwide Wings. Worldwide Wings. Cafeteria food was not always the best. It was very repetitive. So
we're getting more and more people say that CAF was not where it's at. Got it.
Not where it's at all.
So we have actually used up all of our time. However, I love to take a liberty and ask you one more question. I typically ask this question only of the current students, but somebody challenged me recently. Like, I wonder if the alumni even remember. Do you remember who your commencement speaker was at graduation?
Yeah, Elijah Cummings.
Nice. Cummings.
Yeah.
Lucky you. Guess what, Immanuel? I don't remember mine.
I only remember because he was actually my high school speaker as well. So kind of rinse and repeat, I think.
Absolutely. And may his soul rest in peace. Yes. He was such a transformative speaker. Every single time I heard him anyway, I would always walk away feeling the speech beyond hearing it. You're from Baltimore, so one could easily flippantly say, of course he was going to pick one of the HBCUs in Baltimore. But I want the story. I want the story of how you actually selected Coppin State University as the one that would be your undergraduate college journey.
Well, I'll be honest, I think much like my career, like I started my HBCU experience in Virginia. So I went to Virginia University.
Okay.
Shout out to VUU, Richmond. So I did my first year there. And I think like many people, especially like where I grew up in West Baltimore, like first generation college student, didn't really have kind of a blueprint of the experience. And, it kind of got away from me a little bit. Too much partying, not enough schooling, too much fun. But I had a full college experience in a year. Because it's expensive, I didn't have scholarships. Union was a private institution, so it wasn't a lot of grant money. So unfortunately, I had to make a financial decision of like, am I going to take out a lot of loans that I had to pay back, or am I going to come back home to go to school? And I remember coming back that summer and trying to figure out like, what am I going to do? Am I going to go back to school? I'm going to take a year to work. And I was like, I got to go back to school. Like, I got to go to school in state. Where do I want to go? And honestly, it came kind of down between, am I going to go to Coppin? Am I going to go to Morgan? Let me, make sure I get my financial aid packets in order, and let's figure out, who's going to come first. And I'll be honest, I was looking at Morgan. A lot of my friends went there, but Morgan was really slow on the financial aid. And Coppin said, come down. Let's work out a package, and it gave me a ton of money. Had everything situated in order, and I was like, you know what? Coppin's always been kind of a part of my life growing up as a kid. Like I went and did like sports camps there. I did Upward Bound in high school at Coppin State. So I was always very familiar with the university and just the atmosphere itself. And, I just said, you know what, I'm going to go to Coppin and I'm just going to make, this my home and my journey for the next couple of years. And yeah, it was an amazing decision. I was so happy from day one that I chose Coppin.
I think most Black people know what most HBCUs are in the entire country. I can rattle them off. You are often in spaces where I have to imagine that people don't. Your smile tells me that you are reading my mind and you know what my questions are going to be, which scares me because I know I have not shared any of them with you, right? How do you respond when you might be asked, for example, by, I'm going to go with a non-Black person. I'm going to say that, a non-Black person in the many spaces that you have found yourself. Yeah. And you mentioned Coppin State University. And I want to imagine that they might ask you, where is that? Or what is that? How do you normally respond? I'm curious.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't even wait anymore. I'll say, I went to Coppin State, it's in Baltimore, HBCU. They're like, oh, okay. Like, and if they ask a follow up, I might, provide like, okay, like people may have heard Morgan or people will know Howard. So I would say, yeah, it's in Baltimore, it's in West Baltimore, small HBCU, and that's kind of like, oh, okay, then that's really it. But 100%, like I get asked that a lot. Not now, people know, but like previous roles and jobs where people were like, I never heard of an HBCU, especially like living in Chicago or living out here where there aren't any HBCUs. It can really be not as familiar.
Yeah, I love, you seem like a very pleasant human being to talk to at work, regardless of a person's inclinations, right? I said a whole lot. Very loaded sentence. I'm very aware.
Yes.
But I love the fact, and I'm taking it as advice. I'm actually taking your response as advice because I myself, as well as several others, have gotten that question. And I like the fact that you literally said, I don't even wait anymore. The minute I say the school, I just quickly rattle off what it is. Because what I've heard from different people is sometimes there's a feeling of insult in the manner in which the question is asked, almost as if what is, and they still ask it actually about HBCUs, which I'm hoping in a couple of years or so you will know what it is and not have to ask that question. But thanks for the advice. Rattle it off as soon as you mention the school so that it actually disabuses the need for the question. And if there's anything else that's asked, you just provide them with more information. I love that.
Exactly.
What do you want your HBCU legacy to be? If you could imagine, what are you growing it as now and what would you want it to be? And make it specific to Coppin if possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think, for Coppin State, having been there, having been an alumni from there, I look at like my legacy is to always continue to reach back. a lot of people, find success and they're happy kind of being the only person there. But my job and, my role is to bring as many of those others along with me and just provide them with like a lot of the tools that I didn't have when I was a student. So I think, I want my legacy to be to someone who did give back, and not just financially, but giving back of my time, giving back of the resources that I have and any advice and nuggets that I can provide to students. So I've been trying to do that slowly but surely, and, offer mentorship, help people get, career opportunities. So I just want my legacy to be one of someone who just gave back.
I love that. Always reach back so that you're not the only one there. You mentioned something which I know you have experienced it, being the only one in spaces.
Oh yeah.
And could be the only person who went to an HBCU. It could be the only Black person. It could be the only Black male. The onlys list could keep going. You said something. You said some people actually enjoy that. I wish this were another show where we could delve into
yeah.
some of these loaded sentences that both of us are making. Because that let's actually go there for 2 seconds, right? Cool. Just 2 seconds. He's like, cool, I'll go there. Why is that a thing? Because that is a thing where some of us want to be the only ones in a space. And sometimes when we say it, it sounds as if we're bemoaning it, but we actually find pride in it. Put your psychology hat on for me for 2 seconds. Man. Why?
I think it could be, just a feeling of being acceptance, a feeling of just like what it represents to kind of be in spaces that generally we don't have access to. I think there's definitely a power kind of dynamic of that. And, it's something that I'm sure stretches, generational. And just kind of the feeling of like what it means to make it in certain people's mind. Some people desire to be the only at work, the only in the neighborhood, the only who have access to go to certain places. And, it's, I don't know, it says a lot. But I don't think that you can, kind of really blame, me individuals who have that mindset. I think it's just like from a kind of a generational mindset of just feeling like that is what power means.
Yeah, that is what power means. And it sounds, at least from what I'm getting from you, which I sincerely appreciate, is your power tied to legacy actually means disabusing that by always reaching back and making 100%. Sure that you're not the only one. So I sincerely appreciate that. And thank you for letting me put you on the spot for 2 seconds.
No problem.
What was your most challenging aspect of attending an HBCU? And I want you to go there. You sound like a guy who's going to just calmly just go there. You said 2 seconds ago that Morgan didn't really come through on the financial aid like they should have or could have. And that's how we lost you. I'm a Morgan administrator. That's how we lost you to Coppin. So tell me, what was your most challenging aspect of attending an HBCU?
I mean, it's administrative, things that you go through, financial aid being like one of the biggest things. And, we know, like, we love our HBCUs. I love Coppin. I love them, but, there historically has been like some administrative issues of like how things are connected, the systems, and I don't know how it is now. Like I'm sure it's a lot better, but it was like, hey, you gotta go to this line for financial aid. Oh, and I gotta go to this line for housing. I gotta go to this line. It's like you spend all day. It's like the worst trip to the DMV ever of like, gotta go here, gotta go there, you gotta go to another place. And it's like, man, why can't we have this like centralized? Like just give me my, I gotta go take a picture here. It's like, it was just kind of like that sporadicness of like, you just always dreaded having to do administrative duties, like picking my classes, scheduling appointments with my advisor. It was tough. Everything else, the learning, the classroom, the atmosphere, the community, second to none. But the administration portion was just like not the best experience.
So our administrative systems could be better.
For sure.
For sure.
For sure.
For sure.
For sure. That's all I can say. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. My mind went somewhere else. And the somewhere else that my mind went to is we have had illustrious alumni now who have been privy to great systems. And it baffles me till today why we have not been opportuned with making our systems work as effectively as they should, I think is my best way of saying it. And like you said, they are better now. Absolutely. But I'm going to say it for you since you don't want to say it. It sounds as if we're slightly always behind on how effective these systems could be. So I'm hoping that one day we get opportuned, that all this talent that HBCUs have birthed through the decades, right, will opportune us with better systems, because they're not as effective as they could be, or fluid. Let's use the word fluid. They're not as fluid.
I love that word. Yes.
They're not as fluid as they could be. We're both being careful. I can feel it.
I'm not going to get canceled on this program talking bad.
But those who know exactly what we're talking about. There we go.
Some things you got to keep in the house,
There we go. Okay. But we went there without going there, but those who know. So, opportune us with the better systems that we be advantaged by. What's the lasting impact that your HBCU has had on you till today?
Man, it's, when I was at Coppin, I had the opportunity to do and be a part of a lot of amazing organizations and teams. And, I joined great fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated.
Okay.
So, that gave me just family. I have a really small biological family, and, being a noob has really blessed me with having, brothers everywhere. But those core brothers and relationships that I built at Coppin have just been long lasting. So I've just been blessed to have more people in my life to kind of help shape and change who I am. And I owe all that to that experience.
So, Immanuel, you and almost every single human being that I've had the opportunity and honor to speak to on this podcast mentions family when it comes to HBCUs.
Yeah.
I tease, right, that whenever I speak to a friend or an associate who went to an Ivy League, there isn't a sentence or two that is going to pass before they say, oh, but, when I was at Harvard, or when I was at Yale, and it's consistently brought up. I don't bemoan them. Good for you. I'm glad you mention it every 2.2 seconds. But I actually don't hear them mention family. I hear them mention the name of their institution consistently. But with HBCUs, and I listened to you, and you mentioned the family atmosphere that this HBCU gifted you with. You have a family. I know you've got a gorgeous daughter, right?
Yes.
If you could pick a school for her, which one would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question. So her mom went to Xavier, that's HBCU.
Yes.
So, you know what? I would. I'm going to say Howard. I'm going to say Howard University. Only because I don't know. Like, I think growing up in Baltimore, Howard's the mecca in general when it comes to HBCUs. But I think just like growing up there, it just represented like so much of the college experience. And I don't know, I think it's always a place that every time I meet someone, they just feel like they just had a different experience than most people. And it's always seemed like kind of magical. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I've been on the yard, I've been there, and I don't know what the experience is like, but it always just seemed like they had like something extra that other people just don't get. I don't know if it's just like the mystique of Howard, but yeah, I would add that to her list of schools that she should check out and look at.
You clearly strike me as the father that is not going to pick the school for her. You clearly strike me as that. I do like the fact though that you humored me by answering by actually answering which school it's going to be. I also found it interesting though that you did not go with Coppin and you did not go with Xavier. And the only reason why I find it interesting is most parents that I talk to who went to an HBCU, they're going to immediately mention theirs. Yeah. I kind of love the fact that you didn't. And I love the reason that you gave behind it. It sounds as if you're going to be okay with wherever she goes to, but yeah, I love the fact that you didn't box it into, oh, she must choose one of these two.
No. I want her to have our own pathway and everything that she does. So whether that be the university she goes to, the career she chooses to have, like, you know, my job is to, you know, give her the tools that she needs to make those decisions. But, you know, she's on her own to kind of make that final last step.
I love it. So at the beginning of our conversation, you did give some advice to our students, but I want you to make this very specific to freshmen. And the reason why I want something very specific for my freshmen is you were there once before. You just told us you partied more than you studied and so on and so forth, which I think should be the case to a degree. Yes, right?
Yeah.
But what would you say to your freshman self today that you were not aware of then? And give advice to our freshmen in college now based on what did Manny wish he knew as a freshman?
Yeah, I think, you know, balance. I think it's balance. Don't put unnecessary pressure on yourself to figure everything out. And I think it's just like, you know, have a plan and vision for what you want. I think those are kind of like the three pieces, like that balance part of have fun, but you also adhere, you know, to get an education. And just like that vision piece is just, I think it's just so big because a lot of people kind of feel like, oh, I got to have everything figured out, but you don't have goals really in place of like what that actually looks like. So I think, you know, those are like kind of like those key things I would definitely tell all freshmen. And then just like I said, just relax. Like you don't need to have everything figured out. Everything is not like, you know, you have to be in the moment, enjoy the moment, enjoy the place you are, and then everything will fall into place once you have those other steps in order.
Manny, I'm not just saying this, I promise you, every alum has said that we need to figure something out. Again, I'm in the trenches and they're not relaxed at all, at all. But every alum is saying that. There's got to be something there. If every alum who has been through it and are succeeding in whatever space that they're in is saying you don't have to have everything figured out. Relax. We need to figure out a way to get that to resonate, because I'm here to tell you it's not resonating. And I don't know why, but it's not resonating. It's not resonating. That hit me hard because every single alum has said that. Every single alum. Finish this sentence for me. Because of my experience at Coppin, I will not.
Man. Be shy to be a vocal voice in the room. Yeah.
I'm writing this down. No, for real.
Yeah.
For real. Not be shy to be a vocal voice in the room. Are you an introvert?
I am. I'm like an introvert extrovert.
Got it. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. This is going to resonate like crazy with my introverted students. That's why I asked you that. Yeah. And the fact that you use the word shy. You were very specific in using the word shy and then using your voice. Those two things together is what made me ask you, are you an introvert? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Listen, it's almost as if I'm taking notes for class. That's what this feels like right now. Like I'm taking notes for class. Like seriously, because there's a lot I want my students to pay attention to after they listen to this. And your delivery of it is I love the delivery. It's amazing. All right. You've got to be working on exciting things. You're in marketing. How could you not be?
Yeah.
And then you work for Nike, but who knows? You might be doing some personal things that I would love you to bless our audience with. What is
Yeah.
Immanuel Howell-Bey working on or envisioning that we should pay attention to?
Yeah, well, right now I'm working. So Nike shirt, same as plug, but I'm working on the fourth season of the Nike Yard Runners campaign. So those who don't know, Yard Runners was actually started 4 years ago at Nike by a young brother who actually graduated from Howard University, and he said, I want to create a campaign that honors the legacy of HBCUs and figure out how we can do that at Nike. And he got a lot of leader support, and they launched the first campaign 4 years ago. That really like hammers in, the importance and the legacy of HBCUs through the voice of students and alumni. So I came to Nike last year. I knew about the program, and I asked my director, like, hey, when this comes back around, I want to work on it. I went to HBCU, and it'll be really important to me. And it's a program where it's like one team doesn't own it. The person who started it kind of passes the baton down, and then they make sure that everyone who touches the program within Nike went to an HBCU. Wow. So it's for the culture, by the culture. And yeah, we are in the fourth week right now, telling these amazing stories of students, across different campuses, and just really telling their genesis origin story of like what they did on the yard and how that prepared them to get to where they are. So to work at a company that is behind that and is doing the work, and really telling these stories in a really great way and helping move culture, is a blessing. So I'm glad that I kind of get to touch that in any way. So that's amazing. What I'm working on right now that I'm loving.
I've heard of Yard Runners. I am not as conversant in it as I would like to be. Does it display somewhere? How do we get to?
It's everywhere.
Digest
everywhere.
It. Okay.
Yeah, so definitely view Nike.com. You can quick Google search. There's a lot of merchandise. Of course, it's being sold for, but it's also going on to different campuses. We were at Alabama A&M a couple weeks ago. At Tennessee State, we'll be at Spell House homecoming with some of these activations, and you'll see the merch in stores. You'll see the stories being told on all Nike social handles, and yeah, it's an amazing program. But if you do your Google searches, you'll see prior years and all the kind of protagonists that we utilize to kind of tell stories through. And yeah, if you Nike app, you'll see some of the things that I got a chance to work on, and some of those stories that we're telling.
Beautiful, beautiful. Manny, leave our audience with one word or phrase why you love HBCUs.
And we said it before, family. HBCU is all about family.
Family.
Yeah, family.
Manny, I have had an absolute blast. I am jealous of your wall. Hint, hint, I am jealous of your wall. Should I drop my size now? No. Thank you so much for giving of your time. I also want to thank the audience for tuning in to I Love My HBCU ? I know I've enjoyed this conversation. I hope they have enjoyed this conversation and that they will be paying more attention to Coppin State University because of the type of alumni that it produces in Immanuel Howell-Bey. I also hope that I have earned the pleasure of you subscribing to I Love My HBCU ? And liking this episode. Yours in HBCU love. See you next episode. Thanks again, Immanuel.
Peace. Thanks so much.
You've been listening to I Love My HBCU ? Let's keep the conversation going as we share our stories and encourage more practical support of HBCUs, whilst, of course, holding each other accountable. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for the latest episodes. Until next time, love and lift your HBCU.